Hey everyone, this is Kevin with Divinely Designed, and I'm going to do a card video. And this one, I'm doing this one for Stamp Nation currently has a card challenge to do a card with a leaf theme. So this is the card I came up with, and I'm going to walk through how I did it. So this is a slightly bigger card. This is not an A2. This is actually a 5x7 card, and it's craft cardstock. And what I did, I'm going to start with, is actually a stamp from, let me go over products, I guess, real quick. So I'm going to use some die cuts from Paper Smooches that are some leaves. Then I have a scarecrow from a stamp set from Inkadinkado called Doodle Fall. And then I also have just a leaf stamp set. And I have a whole bunch of these. This is from Studio G. So those are the stamps I'm going to use. And the first thing I'm going to do is a little bit of embossing. So just using some embossing powder to make sure the embossing buddy, to make sure my embossing powder stays in the right place. And I'm going to use the scarecrow from the Inkadinkado Doodle set. So I'm just using Versamark ink to ink up that stamp real well. And then I'm going to kind of place it in the middle, but sort of toward the bottom, if that makes sense. Okay. And then I'm going to be using some Ranger Liquid Platinum embossing powder. Okay. Just move that out of the way. And then I'm going to get my heat gun out, and this will get loud for a minute here. And then I'm just going to heat this up until that embossing powder gets nice and glossy, and you can see it change there. This is a platinum. It's a gorgeous embossing powder. Okay. All right. So then I want to make a sort of stamped, sort of a pattern background, and I have these 3 leaves from Studio G, and I'm going to be using some distress ink, some Tim Holtz distress ink. This one is called Tea Dye, and all I'm going to do is ink up these stamps. And this will go on a little bit darker, but all I'm going to do, I'm going to start this way, I think. And on some of these, I'm going to let them go off the paper. You'll notice it starts off a little bit blotchy here, but as it dries, it'll even out some. And I'm okay, actually, even if it doesn't really even out. So I'm just going to stamp kind of randomly in the back, around the scarecrow, all the way down here. And again, if some of them go off the paper, that's okay. Now, not only will this smooth out, but it'll lighten up a little bit as it dries. So you'll get kind of a little bit more of a subtle kind of pattern here. But again, this is a leaf challenge, so I don't mind that it looks this way. I'm kind of going for leaves. And I did try this. I think I tried it actually with a different one. And I want to say I used antique linen, I think, also. And that came out really subtle. So I switched to the tea dye. In fact, I think I can show you actually on the back of this card. I don't even know if you can pick that up, but that's antique linen. So it gave a super subtle background, and I wanted something a little bit, you know, a little bit more easy to read. And I'm just moving the stamp around, you know, so I don't get the same leaf necessarily next to each other. And then pick up a few here on the edge. Okay, let's see if I can get this one that's sort of in the middle here. I think there's an empty space that I need to kind of fill in. Okay. All right, so that gives us our leaf background. I'm going to put this aside for a second, because next we want to make our leaves. And how I made the leaves, I actually took some distress ink and just put it on my craft sheet and sort of just kind of a random pattern. Some of them I overlapped. Kind of come back in here with a little bit more yellow. Okay. And then I'm going to take some water and just spray it on there, get it nice and beaded. I have a piece of watercolor paper, and I'm just going to just lay it down there and then give it a good press kind of into those colors. And you can even slide it around a little bit. All right. Okay, put that to the side. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to take my heat tool again and sort of dry this out. Okay, so you can see that gives a really, kind of cool colors that sort of meld into each other. So then I took my leaf dies and simply put them on here and cut out some of the leaves. So I have a whole bunch of leaves that I've already done that with. And for the final step of these leaves, I took some vintage photo distress ink and one of the round blending tools, and then I just went around and did the edges. Now, I wasn't super careful about this. In fact, I think kind of the more messy I was, the better the leaves look. So I wasn't trying to be perfect here. I just sort of edge them out, but I think it gives a nice quality to the leaves, especially this shape. This shape was kind of hard to, get in all the little nooks and crannies. So again, I'm not being super precise with it. I think some of that impreciseness actually works in your favor here. Okay, so I did that to all of the leaves. And then we'll take our card. And then I just place the leaves on my panel. Now I'm going to pick out I think some of the darker ones work better on the front, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. So I'm going to just pick out a couple of these. That one can stay, and maybe this one. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of these and just glue them down, and they can actually go off the paper a little bit if you want. So I don't want to cover up my scarecrow really. So I'm just going to glue these down. And I'm using some Martha Stewart craft glue. And I'm trying not to overlap them too much, but I kind of want to make sure I'm covering enough of the card. And again, if they hang off the edge, that's okay. And, obviously try to make an interesting sort of pattern. You don't want to put all of the same kind of leaves next to each other. Okay, now that I have those, I'm going to take some dimensional dots here. And I'm going to place these leaves kind of on top of our leaves here, and sort of, I'm sort of going for a pile of leaves effect. So this is a little tedious. But we're almost done here. Oops. Okay, last one. I don't really want to cover up the scarecrow, so I'm going to put this one over here. Okay, so now that I have my leaves sort of all dimensional, I want to, now you could, I know some people kind of like the look where it goes off the edge here, but I'm going to clean them up a little bit. So I'm going to open up my card and just on the back, I'm going to follow the edge of the card here to give it a nice kind of clean look. Okay. All right, so now we have a nice clean edge to our card there. Next, I want to do a little bit of stamping. I have this pattern paper, which is kind of an orange check pattern that I think goes well with this card. And then I have another Studio G sentiment that just says Happy Thanksgiving. And I'm going to take some StazOn ink, some StazOn jet black ink, and ink that up nice. And then I'm going to stamp it right in the middle here. Okay. I'm going to take my adhesive and I'm going to put this off to the side. So I just want to measure kind of how much. And you could use, liquid glue here too. All right, I'm going to put this to the side a little bit. Just make it straight. Okay, and then the same thing, turn it over and just trim off the side. Nice and even with our card. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is take a glue dot and put it right over on the edge here. I have some twine. This is actually kind of cool twine. It's hemp twine, crafter's cord. I got this from Hobby Lobby. But it has hemp cord that has like a metallic thread in with it. So there's some silver, gold, copper, and I'm using this last one, which is kind of a brass color. And I'm going to take it and just make some circles. And you could make kind of as many as you want. I'm going to do an odd number. And in that center point, just press them down. I'm going to sort of zhuzh them a little bit here. And when you get them where you want them, you can sort of press them more firmly into the glue dot. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to cut the rest off. And then another glue dot on top of that. And then I have a button. And this button has some glitter on it. This is a darker kind of brass color one than the one I did before. And press that down nice and firm. Okay, and that's it. So we get kind of, you know, this one has just like a copper button, and this one's more, I don't know, brassy, or it's almost like a burgundy color. But you have that scarecrow that has that lovely embossing in it, and just a nice Thanksgiving card. So, okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Comments, questions, leave them below. If you like this video, click on that thumbs up button. If you'd like more videos about paper crafting, card making, soap making, bath and beauty products, click on that subscribe button and check back here for more videos at Divinely Designed. Happy Thanksgiving all.